We're here in Germany at Mazda's R&D center to drive something revolutionary. It's not a new car, it's a new engine, and the company calls it SkyActiv-X. The idea is to bring the best of a diesel engine as well as a petrol one for really lean fuel burn. Now, the company promises 20 to 30% in fuel efficiency gains as well as more performance. Sounds too good to be true, but does it work? I think we should find out. Before we jump inside though, I do want to quickly show you this engine. Now it is covered by this gigantic cover, so you really can't see much, but there is in there somewhere a supercharger, and the idea for that thing isn't about performance, it's about force feeding the engine for that lean fuel burn I was talking about. It is really technical, so I'm not going to get into it. Let's jump inside and let's go for a drive. Now, as you may have noticed, this does look like the old generation Mazda 3, but everything here is actually quite new, not just the engine but also the platform. This is the next generation of the SkyActiv platforms as well, and got into the whole idea of being part of the machine experience. So, you know, the human experience of being in a car, that's including everything from the seats to the way the car feels when you go around corners and everything in between. Now, I have to say, these seats that I'm sitting on at the moment are very, very comfortable, a lot more comfortable than the old Mazda 3 seats. But also, going around bends and also the ride comfort on this car is pretty good. It is a big improvement. But the biggest improvement in this car, at least for me, is the noise. It's so quiet in here, and this is not exactly a perfect road. So I reckon they really nailed this, and once the new generation car comes out with the new body, it may even be one of the best in the segment. The target for this new engine is 190 horsepower and around 230 newton meters of torque. It'll still use a conventional torque converter transmission. As Mazda says, a DCT isn't really the ideal choice for this car. We sort of agree because this works quite well. Now, with those power and torque figures, that's about a 10% improvement. Now consider that with a 20 to 30% efficiency gain, and you kind of understand why the company still believes that there is a lot of life left in the internal combustion engine. And we kind of agree, and we hope they're right, because if Mazda is right and they can make this thing work for the next 20 years, you don't have to be worried about having hybrids or having electric cars only. The internal combustion engine can survive. And that's great news for car lovers everywhere. Now, I said before that this engine brings the best of both worlds in regards to petrol and diesel engines. So you got compression ignition and spark ignition. Now, I'm not going to pretend to know what that actually means or how it all works together, but what I do know is that it does have a transition phase where it goes from one to the other. And at the moment, particularly at low speeds, when I apply a little bit of acceleration, you can hear the engine knocking a little bit. And they do tell me that that is because it's a prototype, and of course that would be the case because they never put it into production as such. However, what I do love about this and the technology going on here is here's a company still investing in the traditional internal combustion engine, and that is excellent because most have given up. Everyone's going to EVs, everyone's going to hybridization. They think that's the future, and it may be the case. But if we can improve the internal combustion engine, particularly by 20 to 30% in fuel efficiency, this thing's got 20 and 30 years of life left in it. Now, they told me this car doesn't have airbags or ESC, so I'm driving around like a little grandma at the moment. But when I do put my foot down on this accelerator, man, the torque delivery from down low is really good, but also in the mid and high range, it's very linear. It's quite different to the old engine. And yeah, and it doesn't have a turbo, you know, like it's really good power delivery. At the end of the day, this is not coming out till 2019, so there is a lot more work to do to make this as refined and as great as we've expected from other Mazda models in the past. But if you're sitting there thinking, I think my next car is going to be hybrid or pure electric, you know, I would beg you to reconsider, because this company at least is still investing money in this engine. And as far as I can tell, the work really does show off. It's a pretty good unit.